All right, everyone. I figured today I'll do a quick, well, I'm saying quick, it might be like 20 minutes, might be an hour, I don't know. But I'm going to have a little go at sort of basic live code. I'll do some planning, sketch a few ideas out. I've got an idea of kind of what I want to build anyway in the back of my mind. I don't want this to take too long though. I want it kind of be maybe from idea to MVP, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, something like that. So it's more just a bit of a warm-up session, if you like. So the idea here is I've got my folder, my repos. I'm probably going to make a new repo for this. In fact, got a few tabs open here, so I'll grab this over here. So I've got somewhere to sketch out some stuff. I'm going to probably use Groq Cloud and sort of grab an API key and make something and utilize Unsplash API to grab some images and play about with stuff. I'll be building using Vite and Tailwind as a simple sort of front end framework to use. Um, so let's get to my GitHub and make a new repository. We'll call this Splash Mood. So the idea behind this is probably going to be sort of you're going to give it your mood and some general idea of stuff or some information, and then the AI is going to, or the LLM is going to kind of go, okay, well, what sort of image might fit this thing? So then it's going to go off on Unsplash and kind of pull one of those and display that. That's my thought process for this at this point. So it's going to be utilizing a couple of things. It's going to be using the Groq Cloud sort of thing to use an LLM. It's going to be utilizing the Unsplash API to kind of utilize some sort of API. And we'll be kind of messing about with some TypeScript on thingy and doing Tailwind for some styles. So that's my thought process. Now, whether it's going to work out or not, it's a whole different story, but why not? I might move off screen for certain API keys, but then again, I can delete the API key after we've finished anyway. But you know, that's just my thought process there. So let's basically build this out. Let's see. I'm going to make it a public repo so people can kind of look at it and play about with it. And whatever, I'll add the README, we'll add the node. It'll make it MIT, so very permissive license. Again, usually when we make anything public, it's public. You can play about with it, do what you want. It's useful for like learning resources and stuff. Right, so simple, splash move, blah, blah, great stuff. I'm going to pull this local, so I'm just going to grab that. I'm going to go over here in my repos and just do CMD. Open up a command prompt there. And then we'll do a git clone of the repo. And then we'll go straight into it. Open it up. Super simple, super basic. One thing is taking 5 hours to start. That's all right though. Got this. Don't really want to use too much in the way of LLM to assist, but that's fine. It's probably going to be useful for rapid development of things if we get a bit of a time crunch. For now, the README, I'll tell you what would be good for LLMs is to do the README afterwards to save me actually writing the README out and stuff like that. It'd be awesome. I'll check the git ignore. Always remember to check your git ignore when you're building out these things, just in case it's missing things like, yeah, like .env. So if I do a control F, .env, make sure it's there, because you don't want to be kind of sharing all your environmental variables when you're doing anything here. So that's fine. That's good. So now I'm going to make a .env just so I've got it. I know I'm going to have like a Groq API key. Probably going to have a Unsplash API key. Okay, so we've got two things that we know we're pretty much going to be a given that we're going to need. So that's great. Now, let's plan out a few more things and think about what we're doing. So let me think. So I want basically there's probably going to be like a component here that's going to be like image display to kind of show the image. So let's think we've got like a image display component. We're going to want some sort of API connection to like Unsplash and probably something to Groq. So I'm going to want like a couple of entities of those. I'm just going to model those as a couple of little blobs here. So I'm going to be kind of utilizing those as services, if you like, just as TypeScript files. So at this point, I want some sort of like, let's say API slash Unsplash. And then we're going to do the same for the same sort of thing for Groq as well. So API slash something like that. That's my thought process of what I'm doing as I go, just to kind of give you a insight into what I'm thinking. Now, this is the application. It's going to need the APIs. And like I said, it's going to need a component for the image stuff. So that'll be dealing with stuff. And imagine this being the main application as well. So this one's going to be your app, let's say. Let's see, we're going to have like, this should be a component. So this would be like components, let's say image display TSX. So I'm just kind of planning out my idea of how I want to kind of approach this. Obviously, it's going to have like a main and stuff like that. We might even just plonk them next to each other on this. So if I just plonk it here, like a main dot tsx and probably a main dot css as well, for instance. These actually probably be small because they're not really, I don't say like built in. Well, I suppose they are components, but they're very specific. We've also got like an index.html and stuff like that, but we'll forego the modeling of that. So we've got our main sort of application, which has an image thing. It deals with like Groq and Unsplash. That's the thought process so far. Now let's literally just install some stuff. So I want these things. So I'm just going to go off and install these. So the way I want to do that is I'm going to let's think. So do I want to? Okay, I'm going to have to make a Vite application first. So I'm going to do that with npm create Vite at latest. It's going to kind of ask me a few questions. So it's going to say, what's the project name? So I'll just say dot, which means use this folder. It will moan at me and say, hey, you've got stuff in here. It's not empty. What are you doing? Oh, okay, I don't care. Ignore it and continue. I'm going to choose React. I'm going to use TypeScript for now. That's kind of scaffolded it out. If you have a quick look, it's already got like the public, the source, and all the bits and pieces. So what we can now do is do those installs from the doc. So install Tailwind CSS and the Tailwind CSS Vite thing. So it's pulling that in. Configuration is super simple. So we're going to kind of go here and sort of start with the Vite configuration TS. And if we have a look, it's kind of just adding these plugins. So if I go React here, we've got this. What is it? Tailwind CSS. There we go. So that's nice that it's helpful in that way. But like I said, it's installing the stuff anyway while we're talking. So we've now got that part done. Then we need to import the Tailwind CSS into our main sort of CSS file. So I'm just going to go into source. Index.css will do. Let's highlight all that and just have the Tailwind. Now, if you'll notice, older things would use an import of Tailwind here and some other stuff. This one's Tailwind 4.0 plus, like 4.0 and above, or 4.1 at this point. Last time I looked, it was 4.0. This kind of is a more simplified setup. You don't have to do as much to actually get this to work, which is really nice. So once you've got that, you can kind of add your like different Tailwind classes to somewhere and do stuff. So I'm gonna have a little clean up while I'm doing that. Let's look. This is probably moaning about these not existing yet, but that's fine. That's installing and loading as we talk. So I'm gonna save that, close that off out of the way, close that off the way, and for now, close that. I'm gonna have a little clean up. So app.tsx is a bit messy, so I'm gonna just get rid of all that. I'm gonna basically have like a hello world. Yeah, that'll do. I'm gonna want to kind of clean this up a bit. I don't really need to use state. I'm not going to be using state at this point. I will probably at some point, but for now, just that. I don't necessarily want any extra CSS stuff there. Let's use like a class name. There we go. That's almost directly from the docs. That's just pulled it. That's fine. Let's just use that. That's fine. It's probably moaning about a few things. Blah blah. JSX requires some right. Yeah, it's because it's installing. What's it moaning about now? Done now. Yeah, it's still installing, so it's going to take a little while. So that's those sort of lines and the red stuff, and that's not going to go until it's finished installing. It is taking quite a while to do that. It's usually a lot quicker. But now we've kind of got the structure of that. I'm going to think about other things. Like I don't necessarily want strict mode. Strict mode is really good for development purposes. It basically renders multiple times to check for hydration and things, but I'm not fussed about that at this point, so I'll keep it nice and clean. Let's look. I do want that. I do want that. I don't need strict mode there, so that can go. Let's have a look. Let's save that. That's looking clean. I'm not a big fan of export default, but you know, it's to their own. I'm just going to do an export of the function I don't want to do default. It's really trying to make me do a default. So now we need to kind of surround this with something to do named import there. So if we have a look now, all those red stuff's gone because it's kind of finished doing its install. That's great. So now we should be in a position where we could technically go npm run dev and take a look at what we've got. Oh, or not. Tailwind CSS PSS plugin, blah, 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 separate package. So we get Tailwind CSS posters. That's not a normal thing that usually happens when I do this. So there's something interesting going on between 4.0 and 4.1 that I didn't notice. Let's make sure that it's pulling it from Tailwind CSS Vite for my config. And it's not. That's why. Aha. So that's not a problem. That's just it trying to be special. That's all that is. There we go. Now it knows where to pull it from. That's fine. So now if I try again, in theory, yeah, there we go. That was purely just being awkward due to the typo. But there we go. We've got hello world, super clean, super simple. Nothing there really at the moment. But now we've got to think about, well, what do we want? We want a components, we want an API. So I may as well start building out that. We know we've already got stuff in source, so we'll keep it in the source folder. So I'll make a new file. So I want API slash Groq.ts. Also want an API Unsplash.ts as well. This is just thought process. I'm just building it out. I'm not really making a major league plan. I'm just kind of sketching out ideas, mainly because of the time focus on trying to get this to MVP as fast as possible without really doing too much. So I also want components. Where is it? Image display TSX. Let's do that as well. So a new file, components slash image display.tsx. There we go. We'll probably just make a export. Yeah, we'll do that one. Just so there's something there. Probably not just an image there. Did you mean image? No, I didn't mean image. For now, I'll just put down image display. There we go. Just something there so we can import it and do stuff. Just want to get some sort of a structure up and running. Got to think about what I want. So I want to kind of concentrate a little bit on the concept of these APIs and get some code up and running. So I'm going to probably need to reword some more .env because it's a Vite thing. So we're going to want something like Vite at the start of it. Yeah, just to make it accessible correctly via the input. And again, we need these keys in a bit. I'm going to leave those for a little bit while we go through and just get the logic down and sort of work through this. So ideally, I want to sort of like think, okay, I want to fetch an image from Unsplash. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to say, let's think, I want a const. Let's call it fetch image from Unsplash. And it's kind of got an idea of what I want. And it looks like it's even got, it's trying to be overly helpful. This is pretty much a way how you would do it. I would kind of want to clean up the URL maybe afterwards or something. I don't know. Because I don't necessarily want it to just return that data as is. Yeah, so I'll do this in a minute. I'll let it do this. I don't really want to export default, so I'm going to kind of just do that, clean it up afterwards because that's not exactly what I want. So this is the downside to any AI having it's kind of free for all on your code. Sometimes it makes code that you don't necessarily want. At least it's kind of done the import for me. I didn't have to do all that. It's done the query and everything. Great stuff. A couple of things I would probably change to clean this up a little bit is I don't just want the data, I want the URLs. But I want the regular URL. So I'd want to kind of go like dot URLs, and if it's not well, if it is there, I want to carry on. I just want like the regular. Yeah. So now we've got the actual URL from the image that's there. So that's just going to be exporting and showing us the thing. We could do some typing here, and probably would be a good idea if you're doing TypeScript and stuff and everything else. But just for the sake of speed, I'll only fix types if it errors and moans at me. But there's a few things I could see here that would be nicely typed if we wanted to. I mean, obviously the query's typed as a string, but there's a few things like what we're returning and stuff like that. We could possibly put down our returns and stuff here, but I just can't be bothered at this point. Yeah, so that's my thought process. I would probably, since it's doing some sort of fetching and stuff, I would probably want it to be like a try catch or something. So I'd want to strip this out a little bit and do it a little bit differently because I mean it's great having it all there in compact. It's fine, but it would be sometimes nice to have these things and see them separated. But that's fine as well. But what I do want to do is put in a try catch just to make sure that if we do have any issues, we kind of deal with that. I also want to say, well, it's going to be either that or it's going to return null. And then what I want to do is put this inside a try catch block. So I'll say try. And then basically grab this, pop it in the block. So on any errors, we can catch on error. There we go. Perfect. We won't actually need to say that it's from Unsplash with the same image. I think that should do. I don't really want it to do random image. That's quite a nice idea, random image, but I don't want that right now. That's outside of scope. So at this point, we've now got the fetch image from Unsplash. It's going to be utilizing an access key that we grab from our .env. And it says access key. I'll put API key. So it's great how it helps until you want it to. I just wanted to press tab and have that. Copy and make sure I'm putting the right thing in after all that. Yeah, it looks the same, isn't it? Right? Okay, it's fine. I just didn't want it to be like completely different and not work based just solely on that. So in essence, we've got that. Now let's think about the component. Let's think about building this out a little bit. What do I want it to do? I want it to take in some sort of props. So I'm gonna have to kind of make that as a thing, preferably. So let's make a new type or an interface or something. Let's say type, what's it? Image display props. all I need is the image URL, and that's going to be a string. So it doesn't need to be super crazy or anything. So now what we want to do is this function needs to take in something. So I'm going to kind of change this out to probably, I don't know, maybe a const or something, make an arrow function just to kind of make it a little bit more. So const. There we go. It knows exactly what I want to do. See, that's nice when you tab out and it does stuff. It's just really annoying when you don't necessarily want it to. Yeah, it's never red because we're just going to put it in here now. So here's where I'm thinking I'd want to say, okay, we've got this. I also want to kind of say, well, what is it that we want to type output on? I like that React FC. The only thing is I don't really want to be React FC. I don't know, can we just do a React element? Do it that way. Is that typable? There we go. So there we go. It's a bit nicer that way. Let's look at what this is doing. Blah, blah, not assignable to type React image props. Ooh. Why is that saying any? That shouldn't be any because it's string. So it shouldn't be coming in as any. I can't type it that way, can I? Do that one. Okay, I'll leave that for a moment because it's probably just being awkward because we've got the image display props there. It's really weird that it just doesn't want to do that. Maybe it has to be an FC or something, but I thought you could just do a React element. Let's do an FC. Is it happy now? Okay, so maybe just FC was the thing. It's going to be some typing differences there. Not a majorly thing, and again, it's good to kind of see these things because you don't know what's possibly off a little bit and stuff like that. So it's always good to have a little go. And again, this is kind of pretty much live coded, just me getting it done. I do think I want a little bit of margin on top, so I'm going to get that div and give it a class name of empty. We'll say like MT6 to give it a nice little bit of extra margin on the top. I think it knows exactly what I want to do. Look, it's image URL or image. I don't necessarily want full. Well, I might want with full. I'll play about with. I'll do this and I'll change a little bit here because rounded large. I think I'll go round XL. Height. I'm not too sure whether I really want auto for that. I do want width full. I'll give it a bit of shadow. Let's think what else do I want. Let's say we want a max width of large so it doesn't like go a bit too crazy. So I'll just say here, max W LG. What else do I want? I want my margin X to be sentence of auto, MX auto, and I want to kind of have it so we have a little bit of a like transition. So let's give it a transition. We'll give it a little duration of like 300 milliseconds, I think that is. Yeah, but 300 milliseconds. No, say it pops up with the information here that duration 300 is duration 300 milliseconds, transition duration and stuff. So it kind of gives us that. Interesting, it's got a hover. It's trying to give me a hover scale thing. So if you hover over it, it gives you a bit of scale. That's a nice little thing, and it might be nice to have. In fact, yeah, why not? Just because. So basically, we've got a really basic, super simple image display component. So my thought process here now is, okay, we've got this. We still want to kind of think about a prompting thing, so handle generation. So we do need to kind of think about how we're going to deal with Groq and like how we're going to deal with the LLM side of things as well. So there's a few bits where we could probably do with some different prompting, some other things, and so on and so forth. Which means I'm probably going to have to install Groq SDK as well. So I'm going to stop the thing from running for a moment. Let's do an npm install Groq SDK. And again, always look at the docs. Look at the docs for these things when you're using them. So Groq SDK. Let's go take a look. It's an npm package we just installed, and we'll take a look at what it is and how we're going to actually utilize it. So usually we can easily just look at the README, and it's normally got most of these, if they've been written quite nicely, they've got stuff. So here's a nice one, simple. Chat completion, blah blah, chat completion create, great stuff. We want this part, the new. We don't need process M. We're going to kind of use it on front end, which is probably not a good idea in the big scheme of things. This is more just for a toy application. This might be better suited towards a back end sort of thing and an API. But for now, we're just going to YOLO it, if you like, and just grab this as a client. Yeah. So simple copy paste from the docs. We could have an LLM do this, but sometimes it's nice to just put it together yourself and kind of do stuff. You know what I mean? So my thought process here is I want the Groq TS, and I want to kind of utilize import Groq from Groq SDK. It looks like it's already going to do. Okay, so the LLM's going to be a bit, pushy and go, hey, no, I'll do it for you. So let's be nice and let it do it. The other option would have been pasting that in and changing that out to the input thingy anyway. So that pretty much would have done the same sort of concept. We can leave it as Groq. I don't mind whether it's Groq or whatever. Generate image. It knows pretty much what I want here. It's kind of being, but I do actually want a system prompt here. So I want to kind of curry this out and have this as a functionality, not just generate image and just go, yeah, you generate it. So there's a few different things I want to do here. I don't want Groq to actually generate me an image as well. That's kind of going, hey, yeah. Groq, you know what? Generate me an image. I'm like, no, I didn't ask you to do that at all. The problem here is it's going to moan because you're not really supposed to be putting this in the browser. So we have to live dangerously. So you have to add dangerously, allow browser true. Otherwise, it's just going to not work. Now we can find that out somewhere in here. I remember seeing this at some point. Handling error, something got there. No, I can't. I know I saw it somewhere in its docs. There we go. Web browser disabled by default, avoid exposing your API keys. Again, always remember to kind of keep your API keys secret. Now, this is not ready for production. Do not use this in production. Do not go off and push this out. This is more just for concepts. You can just break this out and move it into a backend, like an Express.js backend or something. That's a perfectly good solution for this. I'm not going to do that directly in this. This is more just for fun and just to get something hashed out and MVP. If we get a bit of time after MVPing it, maybe I'll make a quick little server.ts or server.js and just sort of like slap it in there and do it that way and do it via API call. So again, like I say, that's just a warning for don't go off and do this in real world terms. Great for a bit of fun, not a good idea for a real production application or any application that you really want to push out there. So let's see. So for this, I'm going to want my key and stuff, but that's fine. Now I want to kind of do some sort of suggested like caption for this. So the idea is we want it to write a short image caption or a sort of vibe as to, what it's going to do. And again, we're gonna encapsulate the user's prompt in stuff at that point. So to utilize this, I'm going to make a new function. So I'll export const create captions. It's going to have to be an async. We want to kind of pull out a promise and do stuff. So we'll do that. Let's take the prompt. It's just going to be a string. Oh, it's trying to be helpful. We might as well let it. That's fine. Not exactly what I want it to do. Well, yeah, I don't want to quite do that. That's fine. It's not a major league. So I'm not going to do that. Let's get rid of that. That's trying to be overly helpful. It's not what I want it to do. It really wants to force me to do that, doesn't it? First, I want to kind of make like a system prompt. So I'll do const system prompt, and that can be a simple string. So you are a creative assistant who writes short messages, well, image captions, let's call it short image captions, vibes. Yeah. And actually, a response, I don't necessarily want that. That usually classically we call it completion. So const completion is equal to await Groq. Yes, you can complete that bit of it. Bunch of messages, great stuff. That's kind of what I want. So now, first message I'm going to use will be a system prompt. So we'll do a role system. And funny enough, it's going to have the system prompt and user content prompt. Not quite just yet. This is going to be more of a string interpolation. It's going to utilize the prompt, but I want to kind of put it with a little bit of context around it. Yeah. So generate caption from this image. Nope, I don't want it to say that. It's really trying to be helpful, but it's not quite getting there. So just open and close that. Let's see. Let's say give 3 short mood board style captions. Mood board. Similar to, and then now we'll take in the prompt. Prompt. Yeah. So that's kind of the content there. Model wise, yeah, I don't know what model we use. We'll have to have a look. I think that's an actual model. We'll find out in a minute. That looks normal, but it may be deprecated because we'll kind of look at the docs for this. So I'll go to documentation. Always remember to check the docs. What we got? Let's see. Examples. No, I just want to have a look. Oh, I know a good one. API refs. Okay, completion models. That's what I want. List models, available models. Here we go. So we've got quite a few here. It was suggesting Llama 3. Hey, you know what? We can do like Llama 3. We could do Whisper. We could do Llama Guard 3.1. 3.3 Versatile might be more interesting. It does technically have a larger token base as well. So let's just grab that. So take this and paste that in. Now we've got a nicer thing. It doesn't like this completion because I'm not using it yet. That's fine. But yes, that's the thought process there. So now I'm going to actually use the completion. So I'm going to pull out the content. So I'm going to go out there, move that down. No, I don't want to return it yet. I want to kind of split it out and map it and filter it and do stuff to that. So let's say const content is equal to completion. Message content. It may be null, so I'll put that there, or empty string if it's not. So just so there's always something there. It's saying to do return content trim. I do want to kind of do that, but I want to do a content sort of split on new line for a start off. So I'll say split. Oh, I think it knows what I want to do. Split on new line. Map and replace all the bit. It's doing a map and trim. No, I want to replace some stuff. So I want to do it slightly different to what it's saying. That's fine. Still want to map over it though. I'll do that and I'll fix it. So for each of the lines, I want to do a line replace. And I think now it knows what I want to do. I just want to get rid of all the junk and everything else out of the way. And I don't necessarily need to do a filter at this point now. I can just trim that out. think that filter probably would have done the same thing, actually. We can do a filter boolean after. Yeah, we'll do a filter boolean here. I want to do a dot trim here. That should be a clean, sort of nice little split there. So that should technically do what we want it to do. That's great. I'm trying to think of I think that's enough to get a suggested caption done. So we've got the Groq SDK stuff and what I want it to do. I also now need to kind of store my suggestions. So let's save this. Let's go over to app.tsx. Now here's where I want to use some basically some state. So that equals use state. And it's kind of got the idea. That's not exactly what I want to do, but that's fine. It's not image URL. I want suggestions. Suggested captions, that's fine. That's about right. String, right. Right. So now we want the captions. Got a nice little set caption and it's handle image upload. I don't know why we'd want to upload. That doesn't make any sense. It's kind of trying to be overly helpful, thinking it knows what I want it to do. It really wants to be helpful today. I might, you know what, I'm going to turn off cursor tab just for a little while whilst we're doing this because it's a little bit intrusive. Give you a little snooze for 5 minutes whilst I think about this. It's got the suggested captions. So we've pulled them in. We've got the suggested captions. We probably will want to set images and stuff and do other things. But right now, I just want to kind of think about how I'm going to generate this up and build it out. I think where I'd want to do the suggested caption. I do want to kind of store this somewhere like local storage as well, so that we have all the generation stuff there and stuff. So we'll probably actually handle the generation. Let's write a handle generate. That's going to be a const handle generation or handle generate, maybe. No, what's better way of saying that? Handle generate. It's going to be an async, so an arrow function. Right, so I want to say if there's no prompt, don't do anything. So if there is no prompt, don't do anything, just return. Okay. Otherwise, I'm going to probably have to have a loading thing. So I'll probably just grab some sort of loading concept. I might make a component for that. I might just make a little sort of div or something. So we'll have a loading. So I want to like const loading set loading use state. We want that to be a Boolean. Now we'll do false instead. Default. So we want to set loading true at this point. Then I want to set up my suggestions and clear those out. So set suggested captions to nothing, just to kind of clean it out. Then we're going to have to do fetch image from Unsplash. So const URL is equal to fetch image from Unsplash and pass it the prompt. Again, we haven't got the prompt sort of given to us just yet, but we'll deal with that in a moment. Then what I want to do is set the image to the URL to that. So I need, again, a little bit of stuff to hold the image URL. So const image URL set image URL use state. That's going to be a wannabe type of string. We'll probably just leave that empty for now. I think. Well, I suppose we could have string or null to allow it to be a nice coalesced sort of thing, and we'll start it off as null. There we go. So now I want to set the string of the image URL based upon what we just got back. So set image URL to the URL. Super simple, basic. It's not happy about that. Why is it not? Well, it's probably not happy because it probably think that's something like undefined or something else. So I have to clean that up in a bit. And then once we've done that, it's finished loading. So we'd set loading to false. And then we'd end up sort of with the thing that we wanted. Now, if we wanted to keep history, we could actually go off and sort of add a little history to that eventually. So we can kind of update some history and do stuff. But now we need to go off and do the captions. The prompt that's going to be there, really, we're going to have to kind of think about how we're going to deal with the prompt at this point. So we take in the prompt from like somewhere here. So that's where that's probably going to come from. So I'm probably going to want to store that somewhere. Yeah, I'm gonna store that here. Let's do a set const prompt set prompt use state string. There we go, nice, simple. So now we've got a prompt. We've got access to that. I don't know about the URL. Do I need to set that somewhere? Not assigned for. Oh, promise any. Who needs to await here? Of course, it's a promise, so it's gonna have to await it. That's fine. Let's see. So once we've got that, I probably want to do captions. That's great. Yeah, it's already kind of saying it's kind of doing what I don't know whether I want the loading set to false afterwards or I don't think it really matters that much. We can kind of deal with that. So in which case I don't need to set the loading to false just yet. That's there. I've got to input that from Groq. So we got the startings of some sort of an interesting sort of functionality here. It's building up nicely. Again, this was going to be like a 20-minute thing. I'm kind of probably going to go a bit over that. It's probably going to be like an hour or so because I'm kind of building this out a little bit more than I was expecting, but that's fine. Again, it's all sort of just messing about and doing stuff, so it's a bit of fun, something for you to watch and to hopefully entertain you, right? Let's see. So I want to kind of build out this as something nice because we've got a hello world at this point. I think it's trying to be helpful to take in a prompt already, which is cool. Unchained set prompt. That's pretty much exactly what I was going to, well, near enough what I was going to type, so I might as well just utilize it. What's this doing? This is trying to be helpful with a div starting point there, but not the closing of everything there. Probably not a good idea to just let it do the, let's see what we get. Vibe coding for the win, eh? Now let's clean this up a bit. Let's see. So we've got max width MD. I don't necessarily want to do that directly like that. We can see what it looks like. I mean, it's not exactly what I was thinking, but it's still pretty cool. It's yeah, I'm not really no. Let's think. I want a minimum height. Let's make backward the surface. Again, you can take a look at what this actually means and stuff like that. If I type it right. Text, foreground up there. Let's do it flex. Make it into a column. Items, center. Wow, justify center. That's pretty much what I was going to type, so that's cool. And I want a bit of padding as well, so let's just give it like a P6. Okay, so we got a bit more of a nice sort of thing. Then my I don't actually want directly start with my input straight away, so I want a nice little heading. So let's put a H1 there somewhere. Let's put it here. Oh, okay. It's yeah, not exactly what. I'll just make it 3XL. I don't want it quite that big. Uh, Font bold's fine. Margin bottom probably just 4, not 8. Makes a bit heavy side. Um, and this one's supposed to be a mood board AI thing, so we'll call it mood board AI, not image generator. Get that AI sort of advertisement out there always. Uh, Now I want this inside its own little div, I think. So I'm probably going to do that. I'll probably make another div here. Wow, it's really trying to be helpful here with the display. But that's fine. I'll let it be helpful and I'll fix it up afterwards because we're not quite there yet with this. Let's have a look. So what did it give me for the thing? Max width, medium? No, I want this is flex. I'm going to play about with flex here. Let's get this working. Let's think. So flex, give it a gap of like 2 maybe, a width of 4, and let's say a max width of medium. Let's say that seems a bit more useful for my thinking. Text, yeah, prompt, yeah, set prompts, that's fine. Enter your prompt to generate an image. That's not what I'm talking about. You're supposed to be describing your vibe to me. That's not useful. Describe your vibe. Yeah. Let's think. Class name, I again want to do some flex stuff here, so I'm going to kind of clean this out a bit. Decide on how I want to actually have it look rather than let the AI tell me what it should look like. Flex, grow, so it grows into the space. A little bit of padding, so P3. Let's give it a rounded sort of edges, so rounded. Let's make it large. Rounded. Give it a border. I want it kind of grayish, the off thingy. So border muted. Let's see. I want a background. I don't even know. I'll let it have something for its thing. Yeah, why not? Shadows. Why not? We'll have a bit of mood board. Remember. So on clicking, I want it to do some stuff. So let's see on change. I want a button here with on click. Let's look. So handle generate, yes. Disable when loading, so you don't click on it when we're loading. I'm probably going to choose something different here. That's probably nice, but let's think about this. I want a little bit of padding, like more in the X than the Y. So PX of 4, PY of 3, BG. 500, why not? Something different. Um, Text, white. Um, yeah, we'll do a rounded large. I suppose we could do that with the opacity and stuff. And then maybe do it as a transition. I think that should be it. Really wants to do transition colors there, doesn't it? Um, okay. If loading, we'll say that we're generating, otherwise we generate image button is there. Let's look. Image URL and image display. I don't think it necessarily needs to be in its little thing with a bit of margin. Let's clean this up a bit. What the heck happened? Control Z. That was a bit weird. Come on. Just being super helpful with today. That was it. I was getting rid of the div, so that's probably that bit there in a way. I think. Is it this one that's the div? Oh, hang on a minute. No. I love it when it tries to be helpful and in a really bad way. Okay, I think that's clean. Now, image display, it's moaning about what's it moaning about? Do I need to import it or is it something else? Yeah, cannot find image display. There we go, you can now. Clean this up a bit. So look at what we got. Suggested captions isn't quite used just yet, but we'll get there in a second. Yeah, so we're going to map over all the suggested captions and have them there as nice little suggested vibes to talk, for it to listen to and stuff, it's just something to. So after that, we'll need this in a div. What is this? What div is this? Is this the bottom bit? Yeah, that's here. So that should be there, right? Okay, that's better. Suggested caption length. Oh, it looks like it's trying to say, yeah, if it's got a blah blah length, that's exactly what I want. I don't know about it really wants to go with some of its own stylings, but that's fine. This looks a little bit okay, so I'm going to kind of think about this in a minute. So let's have a look at what we want. We want the caption and index, that's fine. Let's do that. Yep. Yeah. So that's pretty much done most of the work for me. The only thing I want to do is clean it up and make it sort of my own. Suggested captions. No, not captions. We want to call it vibes. Getting some good vibes from this, yeah? That's it. So we've got suggested vibes. I want this to be semi-bold. That is semi-bold. Probably smaller margin at the bottom as well. We don't want to go overboard. Text. You are not fussed about that sort of sizing. Let's make that a bit smaller. Let's just do default there. A little bit less margin on the top. Give it max width, medium, that's fine. Text. We'll give it a text small. Don't really want width full. What else? Maybe give it a nice little sort of text muted. Muted for that's fine, that's fine. What else do we want? We want our thing. List disk is fine. Padding left 5, maybe not. Space Y, maybe just 1. And have a list inside. Yeah. Just give us a nice sort of thing. Class name for the thingy, we've got the index in that. We'll text small already implied, so we'll give it a little bit muted. It really wants that foreground on there, doesn't it? Why not? Okay, so we'll see how it looks. I mean, we'll kind of work through this. I do want some history there at some point, like recent vibes that we've had. We'll add that as a extra if we like afterwards, I think. So I think we have that. Trying to think what else we need. Well, I'll just let the errors tell me what we need at this point. I mean, I think I've got that as an okay thing. We might need to clean up the prompt afterwards, but that we can deal with history and stuff maybe. If we get, I don't know if we're going to get time to do history. We might do that for another video or something. There's like extras on these things. So loading should be fine. We should be able to do. We could put a little spinner in there if we feel like it. Trying to think if there's anything else. Yeah. Gonna. Best way of telling is to see how many errors we get when we go to actually run this, and then I'll clean it up afterwards. Yeah. Some errors we're going to get is because I haven't made any environment sort of keys, so I need to go off and do that. I don't mind doing that on screen because I'm going to be deleting these keys afterwards anyway, so it doesn't really matter too much. So let's go do this. Create API key for mood vibes or whatever. I don't know. Yes, I'm human. Submit. It's great having bots ask you whether you're human. It's awesome. Right, so Let's do the Groq API key again. By the time I've uploaded, this is probably going to be gone. We'll be deleting it after I record. Same with this Unsplash. I believe we need an API key from Unsplash. Don't remember ever actually getting one before, so it's going to be interesting. I can't remember. Data service, server infrastructure, API operational, great stuff. That doesn't really show me where to get. Documentation, setting up an application. First, join. To actually, yeah, I've just joined. I've logged in. Go to your apps, new application. There we go. Not to be used from non-automated, high-quality, authentic experience. No, don't care. You cannot replicate the core user experience on Splash. No, I don't want to do that. User access key secret must be remain confidential. We're saying it must remain confidential. You'll see it in a moment, but I'm going to be deleting it. So it's going to be confidential in that sense. Do not abuse the API too many requests too quickly. I'm going to use it for a couple of requests. That's fine. Blah, 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 blah. Great stuff. I may have to like blur out the API key or just, you know what, just for safety and keeping within their terms of service, I'm going to literally move the API key off screen, you know, like the editor off screen for a second, paste the API key and close the .env just to keep, you know, make sure I'm not breaking any terms of service because I don't really want to be getting strikes and stuff for doing that. Application name, Mood AI. I'm going to take this off screen just in case it displays the API key when I click create application. Create. Blah, blah, blah. Da, 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 da. It's telling me like, oh boy, there's a lot here. Confirmation pending. Oh, I'm going to have to do a confirm my account as well because I kind of did that. Okay. Again, it's just a new account. Um, okay, so I've done the keys. Keep that off screen because I don't want it to kind of be on the show. Move that out of the way and bring this back over here. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so I kind of got rid of the my key thing and so it's not on screen. Okay, so now we've kind of put the keys in there, we've got the M's. Let's see what breaks. I'm gonna open a new terminal, npm run dev and see how we do, what's going on, what's no error just yet, but that doesn't mean anything till we go there and see what happens. Okay, describe your mood or your vibe. Eskimo chill. Generate image. Do we get anything? Suggested vibes, Tokyo Dreams, Desert Noir, Sunday Haze. Doesn't look very tidy. We'll faff about with that. I may actually even do the whole let the AI deal with that, but that's cool. Image display didn't seem to display an image. So let's take a look at what's going on there. Let's inspect console. Nothing really going on there. So what did I miss? What happened there? I mean, the AI side's doing stuff, suggesting the vibe, but we don't seem to have the image. Maybe not call it generate image. No, don't know. Let's see what's going on. So Groq's doing that. It's doing the vibes. Unsplash is hitting that client ID access key. That looks like that's how it should work. I'm gonna go back to docs and check because, like I said, I've never used this before. So, setting up an application, blah blah, JavaScript. I don't want to use that. I just want to hit the endpoint. Unsplash, Unsplash entity, blah blah blah, authorization, client ID, your access key. That's correct. Let's double check that that's doing photos, query, photo. Hang on a minute. Photos, query. Oh, the query is the one that we're giving it. The string. Hmm. Query parameter, that's fine. Photos, query. Yeah, so you can give it a query and then the client ID. So according to that, that should be it. What I might do is do a console log and see what we're getting. Console log data as we go. Generate image. Wow, total pages, results. Do we want the first one? White shirt holding it. Interesting. So we've got a bunch of images, not just one. Okay. So we've got a bunch of images. We got that. URLs. Regular doesn't necessarily mean. So we've got, let's have a look. So it's an array of URLs. Let's do data.urls and see what we get back. Let's clear that. Undefined. That's why. So I'm going to have to take that. Result 0. URLs regular. Maybe that one might be better. That's better. There we go. We've got a nice little image. Chill. That calls that. We've got a nice chill. I'm going to have the AI deal with cleaning that up because that's a bit naff. But we did have kind of a lot of possible results. We could just choose a random one of these. So let's change that into random number. There we go. I would get like a random one of those images. Eskimo chill vibe. We've got, that's not really an Eskimo chill vibe, but okay. Let's say fire time. Hey, that's pretty cool. Okay, again, getting slow burn, golden hour, suggested vibes. That's awesome. What I am thinking at this point is a cleanup, but it seems to be doing the right sort of thing. I think here we might, that's, the image is fine. I'm thinking a little bit of, maybe a little bit more for the suggested vibes. Maybe I need the outer div to be somewhere or this to be inside it. Maybe let's pull this inside that div and see what we get. That's all. It still looks a bit naff, to be honest. Let's here's a fun one. Oh, it's bad to suit the site. AI for the win. It's choosing like Claude 3.5. It's added quite a few things, so we'll take a quick look. Still not really well suited, is it? What's going on here? Let's accept that. Why is that not doing? It's really weird. Might just do a bit of a refresh like that to clean it up. Still not really brilliant, that. Why is that? Strange how it's kind of gone to be sort of amber and everything and all this hovering and stuff and everything else when it doesn't seem to have changed anything. That's interesting. That's just weird. I mean, even that should be change of color and everything. There's not. So I'm not going crazy, right? This is literally text Excel, and it's not Excel. That's interesting. So maybe I was okay with the things I already did. That's just what I'm going to do is stop and start the thing and see if there's something weird going on. Okay, that is really weird. We'll look into this. Okay, with a few restarts and refreshes and stuff, it seemed to fix it. It was just a case of it was being awkward. So now we got suggested vibes with the midnight and rainy. We got that. Undecided now. Now I do think maybe we want the vibes to be somewhere a little bit closer or something. I don't know, but we can play about with that. That's cool. Maybe I'll make the non. I got an idea. Let's do a bit of vibe coding with this. Let's do that. Say vibes horizontal instead of vertical. Let's see what we get. There we go. Space XY, left flex gap. That's cool. Let's try this. Mockingbird. They're not. Gotta love it when it's so helpful. But you know what? I'm going to leave it at that because last time it required a restart, and just load of refreshes. But you get the general idea of sort of this thing should be simple, easy to manage. We've got a basic sort of bit of AI, just giving you a mood and how you're doing. We'd also have the background. Here's some just for fun. I'm gonna literally say, okay, let's say, okay, now make the background false based on the mood. So change its color to suit. Let's see what we get. Just going off spitballing here and let the AI do some work for us. Let's have a look. See if it understands what I wanted it to do. See, it's just chunked a load of colors there. It's had a little play with it. Let's have a look at what it's changed. It's got rid of got rid of the prompt generation thing. Oh, it kept it. Okay, it's just moved it down there. A little bit of that. You know what? I'm going to just, wow. Okay. There we go. We got the vibe where it's doing that. What happens when we say red box? I don't know. I'm not feeling that. That's no. That was a nice idea. Again, feel free to have a play with this. I'm going to be sharing the code out. You can sort of like play with it and make it your own. You know what I mean? Uh, I'm happy with this. I'm going to actually be pushing the changes, so I may as well actually go to the terminal. So we'll pretty much end it up here just for that. So we got quite a few changes there. For some reason, it's tracking the dot. You know, the whole let's not track the .env. Well, why is it doing that? I'm sure we had a .env in it. What the heck? Okay, let's go .env. Do not track the damn thing. I don't want to be sending that up there. Okay, there we go. We got it nice and tidy now. Kind of glad I did that status thing there. Make sure. No .env this time. That's good. BP for white tea. Push it up. Right, so we're gonna basically this will be available in the description below. I think before I do that, I'm gonna ask the AI to clean up this. I don't really like having React TypeScript Vite as a README. So let's go and say, please update the readme.md file to suit the application. There we go, MoodBoard AI. It's going to give a few bits and pieces and a little description. How cool is that? Like I said, I'm not opposed to generative AI. It has its place. It's useful at times. I wouldn't use it for absolutely everything, but it's got some awesome use cases. Right, so that's that. I think the index.html will change from being Vite plus React plus TS to what was it, MoodBoard or whatever you mood something. Let's do MoodBoard AI. Like that. Now, oh, no. Typo for the win, trying to rush things. Always fun. Okay, so it's been a lot of fun. You've saw that, let's say, a live code of this with me, little bit of planning, little bit off the cuff stuff, few issues, but all good fun. Little bit of generative AI stuff going on there to help with the speed. And it's been a lot of fun doing this. Hope you enjoy it. Let me know what you like. Let me know if there's any other things that you want to go over and stuff. And it's been awesome. Have a good one, guys.